Corsair water cooling.
We interrupt this video to bring you a special message from iFixit. No, we interrupt this interruption with this interruption about new stuff from iFixit this holiday season. Wish you had a new graphics card, but inventory sucks? Fix the inventory problems with iFixit. Whoa, don't drop it. Can't fix that with iFixit. Just kidding, yes you can. Wish you could take iFixit with you anywhere, but your pockets aren't big enough? Introducing the new More
and the new Minnow.
Take them with you anywhere. So get iFixit for your loved ones this holiday season, or just get them for yourself.
So the Corsair Hydro X stuff, yeah, we have quite a few fittings from them. Not new. This stuff came out in CES of 20, was it CES 2020? Yeah, maybe, yeah. So yeah, CES 2020. So they got radiators, pumps, blocks, and all that sort of stuff. This is the same stuff that we've had for a while. Not really a sponsored video. I know this looks very shilly. I'm just showing you they have a full range of products. And people all the time ask us about, what water products we should recommend and stuff, which leads us to this guy. This is the water block that had an issue that we did a video about, other people did a video about. Major Tech, I think that's his name. He did a video about it. And the issue with the old blocks, and this one's for a 2080? Yeah, 2080 Founders, came down specifically to the terminal right here, which is where the fittings make their way into the block itself, having a major defect where under tension, lateral, is that the direction it would be? Lateral, whatever. If you put the wrong kind of tension on it, it could leak. But 20 series is old news, which gave Corsair time to sort of come out with a new block for the 30 series. This is for the 3080 Founders Edition card. We're not gonna be installing it though, because I only have one 3080 Founders Edition card, which we use for a lot of our benchmarks and stuff, especially right now during GPU season. I'm not about to take the block off and undo all the thermal pads and stuff that will essentially get ruined because of the type of pads that NVIDIA uses. For the sake of putting this block on it, we need to keep that card exactly as it shipped from the factory for the reviews and stuff. Let's go and unbox it and take a look at it. So as you can see right now, it looks super tiny because the PCB is actually really tiny for the 3080. So here's the size comparison of the two. The actual block portion is like essentially the same, which is kind of funny. But you can see this 20 series block obviously has a significant amount of overhang over the VRM. This is the rear VRM, this is the front, where the I/O and all that stuff would be. Yeah, that's the nice thing about the 30 series cards though. If you go with the Founders Edition cards, the PCB is so short, you could quite literally install them in like any case. So it's got RGB on the top right here, which looks very much derivative from their Capellix RGB RAM, which has these same squares on there. Here's your RGB cable, which is also a daisy chain, like kind of a pass-through deal. I will tell you this, one of the things that I'm a huge fan of is the fact that it has pre-applied paste, the size of the die, so as long as you don't screw it up, this will work, and thermal pads that are pre-applied. That way you don't have to worry about placing them or tearing them or messing them up. So it touches the VRMs on both sides, so it's got front and rear VRM. It touches all of the RAM, and it touches a couple of these controllers down here, which are known to get really hot. It looks like we might also get RGB in the ring right here. So that's why they went from a black to this sort of a translucent kind of a clear. I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of this look right here. I get what they're trying to do. I get that they're trying to make it more flashy, quite literally, but I think the aluminum here looks really sleek like that. Because that reminds me of the old Dominator RAM, which clearly they're making this look like the new Dominator RAM. So you do get the Corsair backplate that comes along with it. It is metal. Oh, that's cool. So it's got some of these standoff sponges on here, which are designed to keep you from creating any sort of a short. Because it is metal, and the back of the PCB has stuff that sticks up, you want to make sure that you're not going to be causing yourself any sort of short. So that's what these are. These are just like big sponges to make sure they don't touch anywhere. It is not vented in any way. So there's no heat thermal pads or anything on here to touch the GPU to turn this into a heat spreader. This one is purely aesthetic. I don't see it causing a problem with temperatures because of the fact that we are water cooled. A backplate like this on an air cooled card could potentially cause insulation, cause a little bit of a reflection of heat, causing the entire board to maybe get hotter on the backside. Never had a problem with something like this on a graphics card in any of the builds that I've ever done that don't have thermal pads on the back. That's just because the core doesn't get nearly hot enough for it to really start to heat soak through the back of the card to where this becomes a problem. That's why air-cooled cards that could get up into the 60s and 70 degrees Celsius, where this will probably stay around 40 degrees or lower, this isn't gonna be a problem. You also get, obviously, all the mounting screws and stuff to mount it to your GPU. And then this is a turnkey. So these plugs, and I've had people ask me before, like, what is this? What is this for? These plugs, it's interesting. Initially this, and these are plastic. Plugs are plastic. It's one thing worth mentioning. I always buy myself like nice plugs, the metal ones to put in my builds. That way they're not just cheap generic plastic. But these were initially, this shape, this kind of a domed slot, was designed for using like a quarter or a coin with. That way you could loosen them and tighten them up with a coin. Instead of making them true like flathead slotted, companies have just started including this guy that's like the shape of a coin to go in there to turn it, which I think is weird. But anyway, that's what that is. People have asked me before, like, what is this thing? So we're gonna take the new iFixit Minnow. The Minnow, it's super small. It's really small. So when we talked about the leaking issue last time, it was because of the way that they designed this top piece here. And if you recall, we also fixed it by quite literally epoxying it. And that rig, or that block, now lives in a 2080 Ti in my daughter's system that she plays on all the time, and it has not leaked. And I said before, I have enough faith in it to not worry about it leaking, enough to where I put it in my daughter's rig at home, and it has not had a problem. So this is just a cover, like I said. Actually metal, which is nice. So the issue here is the fact that it only had 2 screws holding it down on the outsides. So as you can see right here, and we showed you how compared to the EK blocks, they had a 3rd screw in the middle. And that was a recommendation that I made. It's the same recommendation that Major Hardware made. And as you can see, it's got 2 O-rings that seal against the acrylic and the junction terminal here, whatever you want to call it, and no screw in the middle. However, EK has a screw here, a screw here, and a screw here. So what happened is as you tighten it down and then water makes its way through here, with enough lateral tension on it, like we showed you in our video, it could separate enough, just enough in the middle to where it would start squirting out. Let's see what we've got here with the new block. So we know that they changed the cover. The cover is clearly different. So it's clearly clear, obviously now, so that you have all your lighting that can shine through. Looks like it comes apart in the same way. It also looks like we have the 3rd screw. So now I have total confidence and faith in this water block not leaking on us. I'm not a fan of the plastic that they used here. I feel like an acetal or a Delrin type of material would have been better than this cheap injection molded plastic. I worry about the longevity. Is there no lighting in this part at all? Do I have to hook this up to a light source now just to see? Corsair in their proprietary plug. I can't just plug it into a motherboard. Doesn't the MSI motherboard have a Corsair header? Quick, to the other step! All right, so the nice thing about the MSI motherboard, and we do have our AMD test rig set up now permanently, so we always have availability to this. It has a J Corsair header, so when I plug this in, boop, oh, okay. So, nice. It shines up through the bottom so bright, it actually glows through there. So let me do this. I'm gonna go ahead and put this back together to see what it looks like with the cover and everything on. So as you can see, it's back together. And I'm curious as to how much light actually makes it up through the end, because that's the side you're truly gonna see, especially if it's face down. All right, so it's a bit muted. I don't know how well it shows up on the light, but it definitely is bright like this. The LEDs are clearly along the bottom shining through the acrylic. You can see it does catch some of that light, and when you put it horizontal, it's not that bright, because it's literally the farthest point away from the LEDs. I think it'd be nice if this was an actual LED up in there, but then it might be a little bit more complicated to get all wired nice and clean. But I mean, it's nice to see at least a company thinking outside the box in terms of where to get the lighting and stuff. So I think at the end of the day though, the question people are gonna have on their mind is, can they trust it? Because it was kind of a big deal last year when this guy was discovered. I guess it was actually leaking on Linus. So Linus kind of discovered it. I don't know if he discovered it first, but he definitely discovered it in his own rig, that he put it together and went to use it, and then he started experiencing a leak. And that's because apparently, or allegedly, because again, I wasn't there, it came from the factory a bit loose. So these screws that I'm about to put in there right now, they're the only thing that hold it down. And so allegedly, he tightened these. And I know I keep saying allegedly, legal stuff, man. You know, company gets mad and is like, what the heck, Jay, we're gonna sue you. Anyway, he said he tightened these down and then the leak sort of went away, which would make sense though. If these are not tight at all, then you're not gonna get a good seal against those O-rings. Those O-rings do not stick up very far above the surface. They're very, very small. I don't know the exact size or gauge of them, but they're very small. And I feel like it's one of those things too where there was a level of, because of the type of plastic that they're using here, and I know I'm gonna continue to harp on this, this is where I feel like this particular block gets like a C grade, is the quality of plastic that they use specifically on that header. That is injection molded, which is very light, very flimsy. And so I think what happens is people, when they're assembling it, granted it's screwing directly into the acrylic right here, it's still not hard. You can even see the screw threads. So if you look here on the 3080 block, they're there as well. But there's 3 of them now, obviously, so you have a nice hold down. But I think what could have potentially happened during assembly, especially if it was an early model, because I believe the one that was leaking on Linus was one of the review units that we received for the CES kit that was first run, like a, I don't want to say revision, but they do make slight changes as production continues. And I want to say that they were worried about cracking it when they assembled it. So they didn't assemble it as tight, which then showed that through just the general wear and tear of shipping and vibrations and trucks and trains and boats and however else they get over here from Asia, that one worked itself loose. Or it could just be the fact that it was assembled differently. A lot of people don't realize a lot of the products we receive are considered pre-production samples. They're like the test runs of production samples. And because they don't sell them, because they're not technically serial numbered and such in many of the cases, they give them to us for reviews to use and stuff, but they're not sellable, if you will. They're the early run to make sure everything works in the assembly line and packaging and shipping and all that. And I think that might have been the case there. But what this shows at least is Corsair listened. Because, like I said, anyone that understands GPU block design said, you need to add a 3rd screw. I had a phone call with them directly. I was on the phone with them and I said, I don't understand why you guys didn't go with a 3rd screw on there. Now you have an issue here where you have to redesign this. And there was a lot of discussion about, well, you know, we're looking into it, we'll see what we can do, and we're gonna try and fix it. Well, clearly they did. And this is the kind of stuff that makes a brand have trust, in my opinion. No brand is gonna be free from issues or warranties or RMAs, poor designs. Every brand stumbles at some point in a design. It's not the fact that a brand stumbles that makes you lose trust in them. It's the way they handle the stumble that makes brands or buyers and consumers lose trust. And I'm happy to see that Corsair added this 3rd screw because in my opinion, it was simple enough. I would have liked to have seen them redesign it for the 20 series and offer this as a replacement because it could be bolted on. But then again, who knows how many people would potentially mess up or damage that O-ring trying to swap it. So I understand the conflict there. But the 30 series block is here. As much as I would love to put my 3080 on water and see how the thermals and stuff do on this, I'm not going to because of reasons I already explained. So would I trust this and put it in a build? I put the one that is known to leak in a build, although I did, like I said, I did epoxy it. This one here, I'd have absolutely no problems putting in a build. The only reason why I'm not doing it now, like I said, is because I only have one 3080 and I can't spare it. Will you see it in the build in the future? Well, when 3080s become a little bit more available, absolutely. I would love to water cool them because I think this would allow you to do a pretty nice small form factor build. Like this would fit in Phil's case, absolutely no problem. And so small form factor water cooled 3080 just seems like a hell of a fun build to do. If you guys have any water cooling stuff you'd like us to take a look at around here, I know I've kind of lacked on a lot of the water cooling videos lately. I know people have been like, dude, you're a water cooling guru, but I haven't seen any water cooling stuff from you lately. You've turned into an LN2 snob. Well, that's true. It's just really cold water, gas water. I'll see you guys in the next one.